If you are pursuing medicine and you are entering this field as a Latino, as a minority, as a woman, wherever you come from, please remember that you do not have to shave away pieces of yourself to fit into the mold that society has told us is what a doctor looks like. A doctor looks like you. A doctor looks like me. Our patients need us. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for me. They need us now more than ever. The only people who understand them are us. And I don't mean the language, which is part of it, but the culture. Our Latino patients are suffering every day because they are brown in a society that doesn't embrace us. The only way we change that is to have physicians who get it, who get the struggle, who get that life, who get that experience.
Welcome to Life as a Patient Doctor. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Moss, navigating life as a patient and a medical doctor. Walk alongside me as I reflect on the challenges and triumphs and lessons I've learned undergoing medical education with invisible disabilities. Join me as I interview other doctors, students, and healthcare workers on their own journeys. Listen to their unique stories on how they balance their health while caring for others in the health profession. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Moss. I am very excited to interview Melinda Kassandra Lopez, who also goes by Kassandra, who is a fourth-year medical student at her top choice medical school. She created Futura Doctora Lopez to bring visibility to Latinos in medicine, which bridges knowledge gaps surrounding higher academia and highlights her path of going from a registered nurse to a student doctor. Kassandra has been passionate about mentorship since she started her college career at just 10 years old and has thus developed a community dedicated to helping her followers achieve their dreams. Thank you for being here, Kassandra.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here speaking with you today.
Oh, me too, especially since we've been virtual friends for a while. It's great to see you in person.
It's surreal, that crossover of going from virtual to discussing in real time. So it's really exciting.
I would love to just get to know you a little bit more and tell me about your background and journey into medicine.
Yes, my background was very non-traditional. I was very fortunate. I'm a very faith-based person, so it's really important that as I speak about my story, it's noted that all of these things were doors that opened unexpectedly. And if I had gotten everything that I prayed for when I was 15, I wouldn't be here today. I go with the flow, go with the natural. And so what happened is I started college when I was 15 years old. I did a pre-nursing. I became a CNA. I took medical terminology and all the great classes. I was a full-time college student and a full-time high school student. By the grace of God, my mom was scrolling through Facebook actually, and she saw an ad that said this university nursing program applications open if you have these prerequisites. By chance, I had all of them. I took an entrance exam, I did well on it, and I applied to nursing school. At that time, my advisor said, we've never had a high school student accepted before. We can't guarantee anything. And I said, I don't need a guarantee, I just need a shot. So I submitted my application, went about the rest of my life. I traveled across the country with softball. I was varsity cheer captain. I really loved high school and I was focused on that part of my life. And then one day the mail came and I got into nursing school and my life changed. I started nursing school when I was 16, full-time high school student, full-time college student. I did all my nursing classes, like 5 or 6 a semester, plus about 3 pre-med classes. The goal was always to become a physician. So it's how do we get there? How do I meet all the requirements I need and still do that in a timely manner? And then I was in my LPN, so a licensed practical nurse, and I got my diploma in practical nursing when I was 17. I was a junior in high school and graduated at top of my class. I proceeded the next year to enter my Associates of Science degree in nursing, my ADN, which is to become a registered nurse. That qualifies you for that. Then I graduated with my Associates of Science in nursing, and then I graduated high school. That was just the beginning of my journey. Now that I think about it, it was so intricate at that period in time. There were so many moving pieces, and I remember one night I was studying for my pharmacology exam. My mom was up with me at 2 a.m. and she and my dad were taking turns. She was putting a cold washcloth on my head and my dad was feeding me peanuts. It was just a testament. I love sharing that story because it has such a warm place in my heart. It's a testament of how my success is not my own. The reasons that I'm here today truly was a group effort. God allowed me to do this, and my family, their support has been invaluable. And so I was 18, I was a registered nurse. I got my bachelor's of science in nursing in 1 year. I was 19 when I graduated with that. And I had been working since I was 18 as a nurse. When I was 19, COVID hit, and it was a very difficult time to be in nursing, a very difficult time to be in medicine. I did work on the front lines at a rehabilitation facility. I was a charge nurse manager, and my facility got hit with COVID. It was very difficult at that time. I was quite young, I was 19, just seeing all of that happen. I decided that I needed a change of pace, and I actually became a labor and delivery nurse. So becoming labor and delivery was just one of the most beautiful parts of my life. I was privileged to see a miracle happen every day. It taught me so much as a person. I met one of my best friends there, and it was just a step in my life that really allowed me to enjoy the scope of my nursing practice. I was going to move on to the next stage of my life. And so over 2020, that's when I applied to med school. My MCAT got pushed back. I had it scheduled for the day that the world shut down. And then it got pushed back to July. The whole cycle got pushed back to July or August. The interviews didn't start happening till September, October. It was very late. And so I was working and it was crazy. And I was so excited to just take this next step. I got into med school when I was 19 and I started med school when I was 20. The first year I was in med school, I loved it. There was so much for me to learn. I felt that I had something to contribute to the conversations because I had a whole career before I came to med school. Those conversations were really pertinent when you're discussing social determinants of health. You're discussing how to adequately meet your patient's needs because oftentimes as the nurse, the doctor would order something and I was the one rushing to find transportation. I was the one rushing to find, how are we going to get them groceries and how are we going to do all of that? When I was in these conversations in my class, it was really important that I could say, wait, but who's paying for this? How are we going to get there? How are we going to do that collaboratively? And what are other options? Because not everyone can feasibly accomplish what we are trying to prescribe at this point. So I felt that my voice kept growing stronger when I started med school, finished my 2 years of didactic. I did really well in them, which I was really excited about. And then I started third year of clerkships, and it surpassed all of my dreams. I did family medicine, and my school was a rural school focused on creating rural physicians, educating students to feel comfortable as family medicine. It was a sector of medicine that I felt pretty comfortable starting with because initially that first clerkship you do is quite nerve-wracking. Doing family medicine first really helped me gain confidence, actively applying information I had learned. I felt really good about it. I proceeded to go on. I did internal medicine, I did OB, I did neurology, and I consistently felt that I loved everything. I thought it was all so cool, and it was just the best year. I got super close with my family. I had so much time to go home. I did research. It was probably the best year of med school so far. And so now where I'm at, I'm fourth year. I just became a fourth year. I'm super excited. I felt like there was a piece of my puzzle that wasn't quite done yet. And I decided to pursue my master's. I am getting my master's of science and nursing education. I'll be graduating with that this following year and then applying to residency the next year. But it was just so many things, so many doors open at the right time. In my education program, I'm going to learn how to teach. I'm creating syllabuses and modules and really learning the fundamentals of how to teach students. As a physician, much of your career is teaching people, whether it's your patients, colleagues, or students. I'm hoping to be an associate professor at a university and teach medicine. I think it's important to have Latino physician professors in our fields. That's something I'm looking forward to doing. I guess that's where I'm at right now. I'm about to move. I'm really excited for this next year and things are going really good.
Oh my goodness, Kassandra, like, kept and adding stuff and adding stuff, and I'm like, "Who is this amazing angel?" I
Thank
can't
you.
even think maturity-wise, a high schooler already being right out of high school, having to be thrown in, and you were a charge nurse, working in the pandemic. The amount of things you have seen, you put your heart into, and then even after that, you decided to go to med school and keep pursuing your dream. I am just so excited to keep seeing you continue on and being the doctora that we all need in the world. And it sounds like you've really bridged that gap of seeing that need in education in the patient population with social determinants of health. I love seeing how different life experiences have connected individuals to their future professions. It sounds like that you've had very unique experiences that will help you understand patients in a way that maybe a lot of other doctors just haven't had that opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Obviously, you shared so many triumphs and you kept saying, open the door. And
Mhm.
I agree with that. But at the same time, part of me thinks back to myself where I also said that. It's not just that the door opened, it's you and your hard work. And I think that we as Latinas and females constantly provide external forces for our success. No, it was you. That was your hard work. Yes, things happened externally, but that was all you. So
Thank you.
congratulations for
Thank
all
you.
that you've done and you've worked hard. Tell me about any of the challenges that you encountered throughout this educational path.
I think when you really look at challenges, it's important for me to recognize my upbringing and where it came from. That's always been a very important piece of who I am. I am first generation. No one in my family went to college. I am the first in my bloodline to pursue a higher education at all in any shape or form. I am the daughter of migrant workers. My parents spent their lives in the fields, and my grandparents and my great grandparents before them. I come from poverty. I come from my great grandparents didn't have anything to their name, and they came to Minnesota and tried to make a new life. My parents have worked tirelessly to ensure that we had a better life than they had, that we had a better life than my grandparents had. They suffered so much and they have sacrificed their whole lives for me and for my siblings. My siblings are 9, 11, and 13. And my parents, Jose and Melinda, are just the most incredible parents in the world. I'm biased, I know, but they really are. I was a 5-year-old little girl, a little brown girl, saying I want to be a doctor, and they never once questioned it. They never once doubted it. They never once made me hesitate about it. It didn't matter that we'd never seen a Latino physician. I didn't meet a Latino physician until I was in medical school. I was 20 years old, had never seen one. It didn't matter that no one else believed in us. It didn't matter that we didn't have money. I come from a low income home. It didn't matter. All that mattered was my conviction in who I was supposed to be, who God created me to be, and my parents' support. At the end of the day, family to me is everything, my faith and my family. And when I say this degree is not my own, my success is not my own, I genuinely mean it, because I have had all the odds stacked against me, and I am still here. And I am thriving, not only surviving. And just that has been a journey in its own. And when you think about the challenges that I've had, yes, I've had lots of triumphs, and I'm so thankful for them, so humbled by them. But the challenges I've had along the way have been challenging. I was 5 or 6 years old and in kindergarten when they would ask us, what do you want to be? And I would say doctor. They would laugh and say, oh, that's nice. It was never a serious consideration. It was never a feasible option. I've always had long hair, and people would say, oh, why don't you do something more realistic? Why don't you be a cosmetologist? Why don't you do something in beauty? While all those are incredible professions, it's pretty disheartening when you are a little kid and you're saying, I want to be a doctor, and they're dissuading you to something that is clearly not what you want to do. So really experiencing that when I was little, continuing to experience that as I was growing up. When I was going to college at 15 years old, I had no support from my high school counselors. The support I had was from my college. They were great. My college was incredible. My college advisors were wonderful and my professors were great, but my high school had no inclination to help me. And so now I'm a 15-year-old girl and I'm trying to accomplish my dreams and I'm doing all of these things and I'm not being recognized at my high school. I'm feeling excluded. The bias from that situation. And then I get older and I am now making all these accomplishments. I think the thing has always come down to is work so hard that you become undeniable, that they aren't able to deny you anymore. And that's where I'm at today. I am in med school. I'm accomplishing my dreams every single day. I am a travel nurse and I'm growing in my nursing practice while I'm in med school. This life is a dream, and all of these challenges have shaped me into who I am. And when I walk into a room and people not believing I'm the smartest, it pushes me to work harder. When I walk into a room and people never assume I'm the doctor, it pushes me a little bit more. Taking those challenges, taking those experiences that have been historically negative and are often rooted in bias towards people who look like me and people from my culture. When we walk into a room, people don't assume we're the smartest. And so that's something that as a whole generation we're struggling to fight as a stereotype, but it's something that within all of us, especially entering the workforce as Latino physicians and minority physicians, that we are able to be visible and transparent and say, hey, I'm here. I did it. It wasn't easy, because we got to be honest, it wasn't easy, but it's possible. And I think that's what it comes down to. Even the sky is not the limit.
I had to write it down because I love that. It wasn't easy, but it was possible. And that is so true. I like that you said that getting to a place where they can't say no. They can't say you can't do it because you did it. You're there. You passed that. It makes me reflect and think back to being, like you said, in an education place that you don't see people who look like you. It doesn't seem like it's possible because you're the first and you're always the first. I know that mentorship for other Latinos is very important to you. Tell me more about how you've transformed that passion into reality.
Yeah, so it was really what stemmed my creation of Futura Doctora Lopez. I wanted a way to communicate with people maybe I hadn't met before in a way that was 21st century, communicating with the most amount of people. And I have always loved creating things. I've always had an artistic thing about me. I'm really into crafting and I make handmade cards for my family, and I have since I was really little. I love things that you can create. And maybe that's partially why I want to be a doctor. But I thought, what's something I can do? And I've been very fortunate. I feel really comfortable public speaking. I feel really comfortable in those kind of situations. And so I thought, this is an opportunity for me to connect with other Latinos who have not seen people like us. Because when I was a pre-med student, I didn't see anybody. I didn't know what I was looking for. And so I thought, what about for those people? And the initial creation was for that. And it became a point of visibility. And as my followers grew and as my network built, I was talking to more and more Latinos, and not even Latinos, just other pre-med students who were asking how to do things. And often it reminds me of what my journey was pre-med, and that I'm able to give them legitimate advice. I'm able to give them the things that I know now that I didn't know then, that I wish I did. Those were things in my life ended up exactly the way they were meant to be. But I had no idea about so much stuff headed into med school. I didn't know what DOs were before I applied to med school. I only applied to MD schools. I didn't know there was such a thing as a DO. And then I get to med school and I find out there's all these other schools that I could have applied to. And I was like, oh my goodness, I could have, thankfully I got in. That's half the med schools that I just didn't know about. And there's so many things I didn't know about pass fail schools, MCAT, like different requirements. I didn't know about elective pre-med class. I didn't know so much. And I had no idea about the curriculum. But then again, this is coming from someone who's never met a med student, who has only met a handful of doctors. So there was just so much I did not know. And I think that was another big reason that I created my page, was I want to help people, because even if they know a little bit more than I do, that's still more that's going to help them on their journey. And when I really focus at the center of who I am and who I want to be as a physician, when I'm Doctora Lopez, you're no longer Futura, I want to bring visibility and representation to Latino patients. I want to see brown med students and brown doctors. I think that even past, we have to look at the impact we have as Latino physicians. We have to look at that because it does matter. It does make a difference whether or not you speak Spanish, whether or not you grew up in a barrio, whether or not you grew up wherever. It doesn't matter. We are Latinos, and Juntos nos levantamos. Incredibly important that when we look at uplifting our community, that we do that together, because we have to focus on elevating our community who has worked so hard, because we come from a community that is incredibly hardworking. I didn't inherit generational wealth. I inherited generational work ethic. And I truly mean that, because the amount of work that my family put into the fields is the amount of work that I'm putting into my medical education and the amount of work that's gotten me to where I am. And so how do we as physicians, as medical students, continue to uplift our community? Because the thing is, it starts with college interventions that start introducing medicine when you're 20 years old, they're too late. When you're in high school, it's too late. When you're in middle school, it's too late. We need to be in these elementary schools. We need to be reading to these kids. We need to be showing them us. We need to be showing up in our white coats and our stethoscopes and our gold hoops and our red lipstick. And we need to be there, because that's where the dreams happen. That's where the kids say, yes, I can be a doctor, or no, I can't. And I was always told, no, you can't. And no one should ever feel the way that I felt and the way that I still feel sometimes, feeling the imposter syndrome, feeling like I don't belong here, because it's not true. I've worked hard to be here. I am so worthy of this position, and everyone else who is here is. And my biggest thing is that our children deserve to dream. They deserve to live, because our dreams are who we are, our dreams in our essence, and allow people to take those. And when people take those dreams, they take pieces of who we are. And I've fought my whole life hanging on to who I am. I will continue to fight for the rest of my life, ensuring that our children can be exactly who they were meant to be.
Are you sure you want to stop at Doctora and not Presidente? I'm over here crying. I'm glad I didn't wear my eye makeup today. It would have been all messed up there. Juntos nos levantamos. That struck a chord of together we will elevate each other. And then the concept you said of work ethic is so interesting that I've never thought of it that way. Of we talk a lot in society of honestly the negatives, the traumas that are passed on, intergenerational traumas, but not the intergenerational strengths, the positives that are passed on. And like you said, it doesn't just start with in the nuclear family, in the parents, it is from the grandparents, great grandparents. When you're talking about hundreds and 200, 300 years, like working just to live, to survive. And it makes sense now of why, of that, just that strength. A lot of people might ask, how are you so resilient? It's something that's just a part of me. It's something that I not just developed over my struggles, but is almost a part of my genes of being able to push through that stress and not letting that stress be the end of who you are. Just another day. I know that you talked about Latinos in the social media space. I want to bring the voice to the LMSA that you work hard with and the other groups, because when I was in med school, I didn't even know about LMSA or SNMA until I'm like almost in graduating medical school. Now I look back and I'm like, I wish I would have been a part of the group. Let's tell the audience, people who are listening, both pre-meds and people in med school or even doctors, how can we support other Latinos?
LMSA is the Latino Medical Student Association. I had no idea what it was until January of my first year of medical school. This is an incredible program, and I hope that everyone who's listening, who wants to go to med school and who is Latino, please find a chapter near you. Most universities have one. Otherwise, you can find a regional one. There's Instagram pages, LMSA Midwest, LMSA Northeast, LMSA Southwest. So wherever you add in their DMs, say, hey, I'm here. They'll connect you with the right people. LMSA is an incredible resource, not only for med students, but for pre-med students. You can go to national conferences and they have an exhibitor fair, just tables and tables of med schools, great med schools, University of Michigan, University of Minnesota, Yale University, like all these great med schools whose admissions advisors are there and who are saying, hey, we want you. And they're telling you exactly what they want you to have. I mean, what? Are you kidding me? I wish I would have had that. I wish I would have had that when I was pre-med. People are giving personal phone numbers and personal emails and saying, like, how do we get there? How do we get there together? You're building relationships with med students and doctors, and there's workshops on writing your personal statement. There's workshops on completing the MCAS. There's workshops on all of these things. And that's just as a pre-med student. And then as a med student, now you're networking with all your colleagues who are going to be Futura Latino doctors. Oh my goodness. Everyone in the space. I remember when I went to my first conference, I think it was the national conference in February of my first year of med school. I walked into the room, late per usual, Latino time. Walked into the room, sat at the back with my friend, Sinibaldo. He's an MD PhD student. And we sat at the back of the room and I looked up and I saw the whole room filled with dark hair. I just remember that it hit me in that moment. Oh my goodness. Everyone here looks like me. I remember feeling so emotional that first conference. It was the first time that I had felt seen, that I was in a room surrounded by people who understood me, who got it. It doesn't matter what background you come from as a Latino. It doesn't matter if you're Mexican or Honduran or Guatemalan or Brazilian. It doesn't matter, because we have all and are all facing the struggles living in America as a Latino, navigating our dual identities. There's just a sense of understanding. As the conference went on, I got to meet incredible speakers, doctors who were the top of their field, telling us, speaking to us, becoming our friends, telling us how do we get there, how to give us advice, getting books from Latino authors, and doing suture workshops and intubation. It was everything, and making friends like at Rush who became good friends, friends from everywhere who are going to be future doctors, who are going to be future Latino doctors, building our network, refilling your cup and rejuvenating. For me, I feel that I often live my life at 75%. Around where I live, there's really no Latinos here. I go to med school and there's only one other Latina student in my class. And it is so difficult to feel like I get to show up and be fully me. When I'm at LMSA, when I'm at these conferences, I'm so full. I feel rejuvenated. I feel re-energized. And at the end of that first conference, as I was about to leave, I remember thinking, what is this feeling? I realized for the first time in a really long time, I wasn't worried. I wasn't worried about navigating being the only one who stood out. I wasn't worried about trying to adjust the perception of the world around me that I knew would happen as soon as I stepped into a room. I just got to be me, and I got to be there. And I realized that for the first time in a long time, I wasn't stressed to be me. And I got to be there and I got to show up completely and fully, and that was celebrated. At its essence, that's what LMSA is. It's why I love it so much. I'm currently on my school's board. I was president in my second year of med school, and I did public relations last year, and I'm secretary now. We're still transitioning. And it's just something that has such a good place in my heart because of everything that it's given me. And as a doctor, if you guys are physicians out there and you want to be involved with LMSA, you can get involved at any time. There are so many opportunities. You can become members, you can become mentors. They're always looking for mentors. They'll pair you up with a med student or a pre-med student. They're looking for panelists. They're looking for people to talk about their experiences, keynote speakers. If you want to be involved, LMSA wants to have you. It's a great community, and it's how we can truly highlight the great works we're all doing, build our network across the United States, and really come together as Latinos in medicine to raise us up, all of us together.
I am so excited. I'll make sure to link them down below. That way you can find your chapter. That way you can become involved if you're interested, because it definitely sounds like a phenomenal opportunity. And like you're saying, that ability to network is huge in medicine, which I didn't realize until I started conferences. It's not just what you know, it's who you know. That's number
Exactly.
one. But then
Exactly.
the concept of just feeling you're not alone, getting your cup filled and being accepted and celebrated for who you are is so meaningful. And it's hard to find those opportunities in a area where there's a lot of competition, whether if that is in pre-med, trying to get into medicine, or even sometimes in med school, trying to then compete against each other to get into residency. It's important to take a step back and celebrate each other instead of just competing, because we all deserve
Thriving
to be
instead of
here.
just surviving.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so
Yes.
much. I love that you said the hoops and the lifts. I never even thought of that, but when you said it, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, yes, I get why you said that." I honestly
Yeah.
never connected that with being a Latino. It's so interesting. It's these little things of being able to, I don't know, maybe this is a lot of my own experience, maybe that you'll be able to resonate, but growing up in a very white, affluent
Mhm.
area, I
Yes.
had to strip away anything that made me a Latina. And so I lost a lot of those things of knowing what it means to be a Latino. And I think that's also so important to be able to go to these conferences, be able to talk to each other, because we can reclaim that identity and be proud
Like
of
that. Yes.
it.
I
Anyway,
also, I completely understand the struggle. I grew up in a very white affluent community as well. Holding on to who I was difficult. I was the only little girl with brown eyes and brown skin and brown hair. I felt like an outsider. That is not a great feeling. As I got older, I realized that most of it comes from internal bias, comes from stereotypes that have been passed down. Like I said before, we walk into a room and people never assume we are the smartest one. It's always a surprise. I often get, wow, you speak so well. Uh, or wow, where did you learn English? When English is my first language and I speak
right?
Spanish as well.
Yeah, I
But
like to say it because I speak English, or I say both English and Spanish for my first
yeah,
language. That really confuses them.
yeah. You make it make sense. And truthfully, that is it's almost as if you have to justify every step on both sides.
Ugh. Well, future Doctora Lopez, you've provided so much advice, but what are some pearls of wisdom you want to provide our audience today?
I think there is a beautiful aspect of being Mexican American. I am very proud of my roots and where I came from. I love Selena, the movie. And in that, her father talks about you'll never be Mexican enough for the Mexicans, and you'll never be American enough for the Americans. Oftentimes, we are asked to choose. We are asked to put away pieces of who we are to fit into one or the other. What I will always advocate for, very loudly and proudly, is that, as my girl Becky G said, I'm a 200%er. I get to be 100% of both. I don't have to sacrifice pieces of who I am. If you are pursuing medicine and you are entering this field as a Latino, as a minority, as a woman, wherever you come from, please remember that you do not have to shave away pieces of yourself to fit into the mold that society has told us is what a doctor looks like. A doctor looks like you. A doctor looks like me. And we get to be everything. I will say that over and over again because I don't think the world hears us. And the only way we change the world is if we change it. And so, if you're entering this journey, if you are currently on this journey, wherever you are at, if you have no support from anyone else, please know that you have support from me. Please know that you belong looking just the way that you do. You belong with your hoops, and you belong with your red lipstick, and you belong with all the experiences that you came with. Because our patients need us. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for me. They need us now more than ever. The only people who understand them are us. And I don't mean the language, which is part of it, but the culture. Our Latino patients are suffering every day because they are brown in a society that doesn't embrace us. The only way we change that is to have physicians who get it, who get the struggle, who get that life, who get that experience. Because it's not about telling a Latino diabetic patient that they have to give up tortillas and that's going to fix things. It's understanding that tortillas are a way of life, that we eat tortillas breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's even a sweet treat when you add some Nutella to it. Okay. It's this is our life. This is our community. These are our people, our gente. And it's so important that if you're on this journey and you're pre-med and you're getting discouraged, just keep going one day at a time, because we need you. Our Latino patients need you. All of your patients need you. And I really would like to have you as a colleague.
Yes, we do need you. I love that you said a doctor looks like me and a doctor
Yeah.
looks like you. That is so true and meaningful. It made me reflect on just all the marginalized identities that do exist in medicine. And there is not just one way. Maybe once upon a time, there was a set doctor figure.
Right. Right.
That is not the case now, and we're making it not the case. It can look like anyone, including you. Thank you so much for all your inspiring words and energy that you bring. I am so excited for now in 1 year, less than a year. I can't wait to see that for you. And I am so honored and thank you for sharing all of that and for mentoring and inspiring so many individuals, because like you said, it's needed. I always like to finish off by summarizing. I don't know, you said so much, but in just summary
I
of
got a
what,
lot.
no, that's such a good thing. You talked about your journey of education, being a teenager and doing high school and then nursing, getting your LPN, your associates in nursing, your bachelor's of nursing, being an RN, and then going to college, but at the same time, you're still working as a nurse. You're in COVID, taking care of others in a rehab facility, and then later on switching to L&D, labor and delivery, and seeing the miracle of life every time you support those individuals. And then you went into med school and kept succeeding in preclinicals and clerkship, loving everything. Even through that, you're like, let's get a master's because I am passionate about education. And that's exactly what you did. You got your master's of science and nursing education. Education, mentorship, and educating others is really meaningful and important to you because you didn't know things going into medicine. You knew how important it was to look back and provide those tips and things that you're learning to others. So whether if that was going to LMSA and teaching others or on your social media page, trying to show that visibility of authenticity and elevating, levantando all of us and showing that we can do it. And you are one of many future doctoras and doctores. And it doesn't just stop with you. I love how you said, let's go to elementary schools. That is where all of our values start in those young years. Everyone has dreams of being a doctor or a lawyer, and don't just squish them down. Let's show them it's possible. We are here in medicine to take care of patients who are like us, who are struggling and need us not just because of our language, because we get them. We can care for their whole person. We understand their culture. We can work with them because we have that culture in our blood. And through that connection, through those relationships is how people truly improve their health. I thank you for bringing it back to why we're here, why we do what we do every day. Thank you so much, future Dr. Lopez.
Futura.
Futura, how can people follow you? How can people learn more? You shared the name, but say it again for us. How can we get more from you?
First, I would like to say thank you so much for having me. This was just so much fun chatting and growing our relationship. It's so exciting. You're a new physician going into the world, and I'm really glad we met. So Thank you for having me.
Aw.
And if anybody listening today wants to follow along with my story, I focus on pre-med mentorship, focusing on showcasing how to navigate interview season and writing personal statements and even applying to med school, Zoom etiquette, all of those things I really focus on, as well as just general life advice from a non-traditional pathway into medicine. You can follow me on TikTok at Futura Lopez, or you can follow me on Instagram at Futura Doctora Lopez. And I have a link in my bio. I did just become an author. So I wrote my first book. And if you guys want to hear about that, it's my journey from RN to MD candidate. That link is in my bio on TikTok, and you can schedule advising sessions with me on there as well. So I'm so excited and thrilled that you guys are taking the time to watch this video, following Dr. Moss. She's incredible and really doing work for all pre-meds and med students on their journey to becoming the doctors of their dreams. And really, that's what I always highlight. My focus is on helping you guys become the doctors of your dreams. So if you want to follow along, Futura Doctora Lopez. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to make sure that I get that book too and link it below. So I didn't know that you got your book. Congratulations. That is huge and something to add on that CV for residency. That is one of the publications. You can have influent publications.
Oh,
so you can add
that's
that
really
in.
good
That's
to
a published thing. A lot of people forget about that, but all those op-eds, books, those are important. You'd be surprised how many people will talk to you if you include it. Like, it'll be a really good, oh, I saw this. Let's talk more about it. So
that's wonderful.
Something to
Thanks
add
for
for
that
your
advice.
residency app.
Yes, thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah. It just made me think of that. I didn't even, when I was going through my residency path too, they say like publications and you think like the research, the PubMed type thing. Not at all.
Yes. Anything that's published.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for joining in today. I always love to end the episodes by just reminding everyone that you're not alone in your struggle, no matter what the struggle is, whether that is you don't look like everyone around you, whether that is failing an exam, whether that is struggling with health conditions. You are not alone. I understand how lonely it feels, especially when these challenges arise. Hopefully these videos can remind you that you can still be successful. You can still overcome these challenges and accomplish your dream. It doesn't have to be doctor. It can be nurse. It can be finishing high school. It can be whatever your dream is. It is possible. If you want to follow more on my story, you can learn more on all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, everything on MedPsychMoss. Also my website, medpsychmoss.com. That will be the best place to get more information as I slowly do less publishing these episodes because I have to actually focus on my residency education. We have this generational work ethic. It's like do, but I step back. I cannot do my doing is working. Doing what I've been wanting to do for so many years. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Life as a Patient Doctor, on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and see you next week.
Bye. We can do bloopers now. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm going to readjust my hair before we get into this last segment.
Hair adjustment.